Hello, and welcome to this introduction to the NCES Online Codebook. My name is Chris Curran. I'm a faculty member at the University of Florida's College of Education. For those of you working in the area of education research, you may be well aware of the type of data collection that the federal government collects. However, if you are a graduate student or someone just coming to the education research sector, you may be surprised at the extent of data collected by the federal government and the availability of that data for you to use as a researcher. It turns out that the federal government, through the Department of Education and the National Center for Education Statistics, conducts a large number of often nationally representative data collection survey programs. Several of them are displayed right here on the landing page for NCES's Online Codebook. These programs, such as the ECHLS, the Early Childhood Longitudinal Study, often follow in the tens of thousands of students for upward of 8, 10, sometimes 15 years. And they collect an immense amount of data on these students. For example, in the ECHLS, there are about 20,000 variables for students between their kindergarten and 8th grade year. These variables represent responses from parents to surveys, responses from teachers to surveys. They represent achievement tests that the students themselves took, as well as a wide variety of other information about both the school context of the student, but also their broader social and family context. As researchers and evaluators, this data is incredibly valuable. It's a secondary data source that a researcher can take off the shelf, run rigorous analyses on, and learn information that's representative of the entire United States. To do this, you utilize the NCES's Online Codebook system. This system replaces the previous EDAT system that was in use for many years before, but it has many of the same functionalities. So we can see here on the landing page that it gives us the choice between a number of different survey programs. So we have things like the ECHLS that focus on early childhood, survey programs like the ELS and the High School Longitudinal Study that track students through high school and into their early years of college and even the labor market. Other survey programs like the Schools and Staffing Survey, sometimes referred to as the SAS, that focuses on teachers, principals, and staffing issues in schools. And survey programs like the SOCS, the School Survey on Crime and Safety, that focus on security issues in schools. From this landing page, I can choose one of the surveys. In this case, I'll choose the ECHLS for the 98-99 year, and click the link. It'll take me then to the actual online codebook. Well, what is a codebook? Essentially, a codebook is a listing of all of the variables available in a dataset. It's a concise place to go to and figure out what's available to you as a researcher from this dataset if you were to download this data. You'll notice there's several different drop-downs to begin with. On the left, I can click this drop-down that says Files, and I can see that I have the option of searching all of the files in the ECHLS, or I could limit my search to just the K8 child file, which would have variables specific to the child, or limit my search to files that are specific to the teacher or school. In this case, I'll leave it on all files and search all of the available files. The next drop-down allows me to select variable types. For example, this first choice, child assessment variables, would limit my search to variables that were related to probably the achievement test that the students took. You'll see there's other choices like outside source variables, which may give information from data that was brought into the ECHLS, or questionnaire variables, which may have information from the surveys that parents and teachers filled out about the students. Again, in this case, I will leave all of them selected so that I'm maximizing my search of the data. I'll then jump over to the keyword search. So this is one of the key functionalities of an online codebook, is the ability to search based on some keyword and return a list of variables that are relevant to what you search on. So in this case, I will type the word income and allow the online codebook to return the variables that relate to income. So I can quickly see there are 32 variables in the ECHLS that have the keyword income somewhere in the variable name or the variable description. If I scroll down, I'm able to see the file that this variable is located in, the name of the variable itself, a short label that describes the variable, as well as some more information about it. If I think I have a variable that might be relevant to the type of research or evaluation I'm conducting, I can simply click that variable name, and I can get a bit more information about the variable. For example, here, this income variable appears to be a continuous variable that ranges from a minimum of 0 to a maximum that's much larger. So this looks like this is actually an indicator of the reported income. I could continue to scroll down and click some of these others. Here's one that says income category imputed. I can see this variable in this case is a categorical variable. So rather than being a continuous numerical representation of income, this is bracketed income responses into a series of categories ranging in this case from $5,000 or less all the way up to $200,000 or more per year. I can also see interesting information here about the distribution of responses. So this frequency distribution tells me that 462 students came from families whose parents reported $5,000 or less of income in a year. We can see this number peaks such that the largest category is about the $50,000 to $75,000 range, with almost 3,000 students falling in that income bracket. So the income search has allowed me to get information quickly about relevant variables. I could continue to work through this list and figure out variables that are relevant to the type of study that I want to conduct, and then I'd have the option of clicking those variables and adding them to what's called a tag file, which is a set of variables that I actually want to download from the data. And then when I was ready, I could go to these buttons on the right-hand side and actually download this data set. And it would come to me essentially as a large spreadsheet that would have a row for each student in the data set and a column for each of the variables I've chosen. And with that data set in hand, I'm ready to start conducting analyses, conducting research, and gaining some insights from this data. So I encourage you to check out the online codebook, look through many of the different surveys that are there. You might be surprised about the wealth of information. Just in the ECHLs alone, you can find information about birth weight, information about doctor's visits, information about the availability of junk food in the school. These data sets are rich both for studying education, but also for studying a variety of other social and contextual factors that young people, such as students, face. So I thank you for joining this quick introduction to the online codebook. I encourage you to peruse the codebook, learn more about it, and see what sort of interesting variables you find that may be relevant to your research. Thank you very much.